I think we've got everything ready to go. You guys ready? I don't know, Peter. I don't know if they're ready for you yet. Might have to hang out. Are you guys ready? All right, let's get our first panel going on. We are going to welcome to the stage Peter Kressaty. He is the Chief Commercial Officer for LW Hospitality, and he is going to be joined by Pohl, who is the President of WorldHotels. Welcome up to the stage. They're going to talk to us about our changing luxury guests. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you. Go have fun.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers, buddy.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to see everybody. You know, a lot of things that Shane said resonates quite deeply with me. Delighted to be here. I've been on the board of ILHA for nearly 10 years. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Forbes Travel Guide. Of course, I've had an incredible career rooted in luxury, and I'm honored to be here to interview Ron and WorldHotels and the great things that they're doing in luxury. So,
thank you, Peter. Good morning, everyone. All right, we're here. Good. So, just a little background on WorldHotels that you might not be aware of. I started with Best Western Hotels 18 years ago, and we put together a team and a journey of how do we take a mid-scale hotel chain and expand it across all segments of the industry. So in 2007, we had one brand, Best Western Hotels. Over the course of about 15 years, we expanded that to 15 different brands, all under the Best Western portfolio. But then in 2019, we bought WorldHotels, which is a hotel company that has been around for 50 years, started in Germany. And it really completed the offering that we wanted, being one of only a few brands in the world that has luxury to economy hotels. So, and the executive team of, you'll see it referenced as BWH Hotels, 4 of the 8 people on our executive team are from the upper upscale and luxury segment. So it's a different brand, it's reinvented, and here this morning just to share a little bit of insights on what we're doing with WorldHotels around the world. So thank you for being here this morning.
yes, thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
So part of what we learned yesterday in some of the sessions is about data. I think, I raised my hand pretty high when I said square. I'm a square. Everything we do is based on data and decisions in what we do. So we did some research for today just to share some information with you all. And also, as Shane said, I'm a kind of thirsty for knowledge constantly in our industry. So a recent study by McKinsey regarding the luxury traveler says that most luxury travelers now are between the ages of 40 and 60. And furthermore, they're willing to spend over $500 a night. They're also moving a bit younger and traveling with families as opposed to just special occasion travel. Those who have a higher net income are doing less of the special occasion. But they've also shared with us some statistics that even those with a household income of $100,000 are doing those bucket list trips and staying in those experience places. It's not just reserved for Disney anymore. It's for luxury hotels as well, which is great. That makes up about 35% of all luxury travel today, which is fantastic. So they're really aspiring to doing more with experience, I think, which we heard a lot. Coupling that information with McKinsey, not to plug our company, but LARC, Lodging Analytics Research and Consulting, Dan Lesser, who's here, our co-founder, and I pulled some data which applies perfectly to this segment. And in 2024, the luxury RevPAR will be 19% higher than 2019 RevPAR, which is really a staggering statistic. I know some of us yesterday were kidding around, should we stop comparing to 19? Should we move on? But we thought it was really important to say that. And the other factoid, in addition to that, is that no other class in 2024 will be more than 13% above 2019 RevPAR across all segments of the hospitality industry. So that's kind of important. Looking ahead to 2025, we expect and predict that U.S. luxury RevPAR will increase another 4% on top of 2024. So staggering statistics. So hats off to Ron and the World Hotels folks for keeping an eye on luxury and wanting to, position themselves in a bit more in that. So also the strength in that RevPAR mostly came through ADR, just so you know, because the occupancy levels are still about 8% below 2019 levels. So, Ron, to that point, and all those great statistics and everything pushing towards luxury, can you share your insights on the luxury travel based on what World Hotels experiences are and what you're looking to do for your to attract those travelers?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be in the luxury segment. Obviously the revenue numbers are very strong, and we look forward to that next year. If you haven't read the McKinsey report, I would highly recommend it. It was a very well done report that speaks to the different aspects of the traveler and the change in demographics. I think we have to be careful though in how we define the travelers, because it's not just an age thing. It is a demographic of what their spend is and the economics of that. So as we dig into that for World Hotels, we're really looking at, yes, you've got the age demographic, but I was shocked to see that those with net worths under $1 million were a core customer for the luxury segment. And we're seeing a shift from baby boomers. Obviously we're all aging, but we're now the minority of the traveler out there, while still have wealth out there, but we're less than 20% of that luxury traveler today. So we're seeing a shift in how we have to understand those different demographics. But I'll give this example as well, and why I'm concerned about bracketing people by ages, and that is, I have 3 children that are all in the millennial bucket, if you will, and none of their expectations on travel are the same. They go from one end of the spectrum to the other, so it is really understanding the individuality of those customers and what we need to do to attract them, whether it's using technology to do it, or if it's just the face-to-face personal interactions that we have. So what we do at World Hotels is we dig deep into the data using our loyalty program to really understand what are the expectations of those travelers, and then identify how our hotels can support that in truly what those customers are looking for in their experience. And we're learning every day. So it's a continual evolution of understanding of what the expectations are.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a fast-growing segment, so we're all watching it closely. So with 35%, over a third of luxury market now comprising of aspiring travelers, how do you balance the needs of these newbies, as we'd say, or your millennials, with the traditional high net worth folks?
Yeah, and it's exciting that we have to be more creative in how we respond to the changing customer needs. What I would say is that first and foremost, we have to have hotels where the different customers want to travel to. And that's changing. While we still need to have the core hotels in cities like Tokyo, in Paris, in New York, in San Francisco, all the major cities around the world, what we're seeing is a change in where they want to travel and the purpose of their travel. Still, number one is beach resort destination. So we're always looking at where can we develop those hotels around the world, but also the changing the types of hotels that we put in those locations. So World Hotels has 4 brands. We have luxury, we have elite, we have crafted, and we have distinctive, and those are all unique. And I'll just give a very brief description, but luxury is luxury. They could be small or large, but very high-end hotels in unique locations. The elite hotels are larger hotels, typically convention hotels. The Strat down the road here is a World Hotel Elite property. The Pepper Mill Resort, not too far from here, is a World Hotel Elite property, but they're large convention properties that may have other offerings as well. The Crafted brand was one that we created after we bought World Hotels, and it is kind of boutique, upper upscale that has an emphasis on food and beverage, and are typically in secondary or tertiary markets, because what we are learning is people want more of that experiential travel in unique destinations where we may have hotels today, but we're also looking to the future of where might those destinations be. So where today Europe and North America has a strong presence of Crafted, and it's our fastest growing, when we look into other areas of the world, where are we growing? We're growing in Vietnam, we're growing in Bangkok, we're growing in India, we're growing in Saudi Arabia, we're growing in Brazil, because those we see are key destinations of where travelers truly want to experience something a little bit different in the short term or even the long term. So, and I'll just show you just a couple quick slides here of examples of that. The Carroll 5, which is a iconic 700-year-old property that started out as a monastery and then a military hospital, and now it's a hotel outside of Amsterdam in Utrecht, Netherlands. But just a very unique property with an outstanding story that the different travelers want to come there and understand what they can experience in that area. We just added and just went live yesterday the Lauren in Austin. Again, this is catering to a different demographic that we have in Austin, Texas, where the energy and we believe we can attract a younger generation into this property. Up in Western Canada, this oceanfront resort, amazing property off the beaten path, but truly a unique experience in a part of the world that isn't often recognized by some of our luxury travelers. And then as we look to the future, this Sunflower Resort is a greenfield project in Saudi Arabia that was the idea of the developer that it's inspired by Van Gogh, the sunflower picture that portrait that we all know, and each of these petals are actually the actual hotel rooms for this resort. Again, a unique destination. Saudi Arabia is extremely strong with development and growth today, and pretty excited by that. And then finally, in Kobuleti, Georgia, this 1,000-room hotel that is a unique location where people aren't traveling today, and this will open 2 years from now. But just some ideas of how we're targeting it's not just about today's locations and traveler, it's where do we need to be 3 to 5 years from now to continue to attract those travelers.
Fantastic. It's nice to learn that you have all of these assets that you're taking over. So to stay on that point, because there are more younger travelers, and they're splurging, what specific amenities and services are you now offering this emerging younger luxury demographic?
Well, there's a couple things that we're all more aware of, and certainly sustainability is a part of that, but that's an emphasis that we see in those travelers. Wellness is very important, as we see across the generations, but especially in the younger generation. And it's not just spas, it's actual overall wellness and how can they incorporate that into what they want to do. It's also, again, going back to that experiential, they want to understand the local flair of where they're staying. They want to be a participant in that community potentially for a part of their travel. They live in the life of a local. And how do we provide that to them in advance of their stay so they can actually do that when they stay there. And we also don't want to leave out, we're seeing growth in single travelers. It goes from two ends of the spectrum. We have single travelers that are trying to just disconnect and rejuvenate, but at the same time you have multi-generational travel where you have grandparents, parents, and children and grandchildren all traveling together. So it really goes back to, we build a lot of stuff off of the data. What are customers telling us that we should know about them, because our industry hasn't been as progressive or proactive in understanding the customer's needs and details, and it's using that data to really make decisions that will make a positive impact and get them to return back and look for our hotels.
So the amenities and services might not even be within the hotel.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Peter. They many times it's and they won't splurge on everything. You know, they'll splurge on the hotel, and then they'll pick and choose where they might spend money. But it's not like some of the luxury travelers of the past where I'll spend money on everything while I'm there. I want the unique experiences that I'll splurge on, but other areas of the trip I might not.
So I imagine you've had to adjust a lot of your marketing strategies. How are you doing that to reach and appeal to now all of these levels, those that have a household income net worth of $1 million plus, and those all the way down? I mean, the $100,000 household income statistic was really surprising to us to see, obviously in the McKinsey study. So, yeah.
You know, we use a lot of digital marketing. We've got 150 influencers around the world that help us connect to those customers. You know, everybody loves a good story, and you know, one of the basis around capturing and retaining guests with World Hotels is when we bring these hotels in, we ask them to, and we work with them to create their own story. What do you want the memory or the experience to be once we get that guest into the hotel? So they build that experience around it, and you know, rather than using Medallia or other measures of guest satisfaction, we try to focus on, did that guest leave with a great story that they want to go share with other friends and family, because that's really what our industry is all about. It's sharing great stories and then going to those places ourselves or someplace that a friend or family member has told us about. So we really try to emphasize that. But the marketing aspect is critically important, you know, and it's not the normal channels. It's using those influencers to capture them, to learn about our brand, and then choose, you know, select specific donation or locations that they will then travel to.
Coupling with marketing, how are you dealing with technology? How are you using technology to enhance the luxury traveler experience for the younger folks as well, but still maintaining that personal touch?
It's complicated. We say that, and we heard the folks on stage yesterday talk about it being a frictionless experience. Completely agree with that. We view technology as an enabler. How can we use that to engage with guests, for the guests that want to use the technology, but how do we not use that technology for those that don't want it? And that is generational to some extent. You know, the use of mobile key, the use of kiosk check-ins in some locations, all of those things change quite honestly, with the demographic. But we're using that technology to try to provide better insight into that traveler. We know that if they're a part of the World Hotel loyalty program, we have a lot of information that we should be able to exercise and then enhance the experience when Peter comes to stay at a hotel. So are we using that? I think as an industry, we don't use it as well as we need to, but we're learning and providing that information at the fingertips of the hotel staff that then can know that when Peter goes up to the bar, he wants a club soda with a lemon in it, and you know, and we should know that about them, and or special offerings that our customers want or need. If they're coming to a hotel and they typically use a spa, well, let's proactively try to address that, because one of the biggest challenges that we see in hotels and spas is guests get to the hotel and all the spas treatment are full, so you can't get in. So how do we know that about a customer and then proactively market that to them to make their experience a better experience?
You said it's a challenge. I couldn't agree with you more. I also have 3 young 20-year-old sons, and even with the young folks that work with us, and then travelers as well, I feel like they hide behind technology. You know, I didn't want to call and bother you, I texted you, I emailed you. No one wants to pick up the phone and call. And when you talk about technology and it being complicated in the marketing, it even holds true in the operational side of luxury, because really the goal of luxury is to not make the guest work or think. And that could mean many different things to many different age categories. And of course, as my parents always said when I was your age, now I would never say that, and here I am saying it. So I think it's kind of important. So looking ahead to 2025, what do you think the guests are seeking? How can hotels best respond to this constant evolution and of demands that might be very different?
Well, I was happy to hear the report of the projections for next year. I think that's extremely positive. AI is still something that we're all wrestling with, and how do we use that again to enhance the guest experience and/or, at the end of the day, luxury hotels are a business like everything else, and how can we help cut costs in the middle of the operation to protect the bottom line? So, we're investing heavily in where can we use AI to help hotels, with staffing, with information that today is maybe a manual process. We're using it in our call centers or in the booking process. Again, when you look across the generations there, whether I want a voice on the end of that call or whether I'm okay with a bot at the end of, and in that interaction is something that we have to delicately balance. But all of those opportunities can provide savings to our hotels. The other thing that we're really looking at World Hotels is the changing landscape of what's actually happening in the luxury segment beyond just the hotels themselves. And what we've heard is that a lot of people are getting into the luxury residences space. And this slide is an example of some of the folks that are going into this. Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons, I think, started many, many years ago, where there's actual living. It's not Airbnb or VRBO or anything like that, or a condo hotel. These are actually residences. So we've taken advantage of that. We think that there's tremendous potential. This is a recent project that we signed in Vietnam, 2,500 condos. It'll be the first World Hotel residences. It's one of 3 projects that we're doing between Vietnam and Saudi Arabia. We actually signed a small property in Costa Rica yesterday that's going to be a World Hotel residences. So I think there's some changing opportunities here that bigger brands and/or even independent hotels can benefit from going a slightly different direction than normal in the industry. And then the most recent change addition that we put into World Hotels is, some of you have heard of the glamping that's happening around the world, and we see this as it's actually a very luxury travel experience. You can stay in a Calistoga wagon, you can stay in a tent, you can stay in an actual unit on these campgrounds or glamping grounds. But this was the first of 3 projects that we believe that will incorporate into our brand in the coming years. So complete opposite end of the spectrum for luxury travel, but people are looking for this.
So the rules are there are no rules.
There are no rules.
On the facility side, and it's I have known Greg Habib, who's in charge of development for World Hotels for a long time, and he always talks about anticipating the guest needs. And that, with the intersection of my being a schizophrenic hotelier working in operations, sales, marketing, ratings, and now with Dan and Evan at LW with advisory for real estate and finance, specifically for hospitality, I think back to my years at Forbes, and the facilities side isn't the whole rule. It's about making the guests not work or think. And it's funny you mentioned glamping, which just made me think. In Montana, there's a glamping resort that achieved 5 stars, and some of their accommodations don't even have walls. So it's really about how to anticipate the guest needs. But also, this Zion Wildflower Resort is great to learn about, because now that's a great addition to the world of luxury. So you could still create that experience, but it doesn't matter if the walls have changed. Folks also don't realize that over the years we evolved the standards when we bought Mobile Travel Guide and turned it into Forbes Travel Guide. And again, it's my alma mater. I don't mean to plug them by any stretch, but the facilities and services flip-flopped from 75% facility, 25% service to 75% service, 25% facility. So the star ratings are based on what you and your team are doing, not what you're building. Because if you build it, will they come? Well, what happens when everyone built it? And that's exactly what happened. So now that's the differentiator, what you all are doing. So congrats on your efforts. You're way ahead of your time to notice this trend in growing luxury, mostly driven on ADR. So clearly there's no resistance from our luxury travelers, no matter what age category or income level, clearly, that they're not afraid to spend. And those that were spending maybe 2 years ago $600 or $700 on a room are now spending over $1,000, and they still are. So
no, you're absolutely right, and the projection right now for next year is that 50% of U.S. travelers will go international for their vacations next year. So it is, and they are looking for unique, different, off the beaten path locations that, and that's across all age brackets. It's not just the younger generation. So, like I said, it's an exciting time to be in the luxury segment again, and there are no boundaries on the creativity that we can use to attract and retain and engage with these guests.
Who would have ever thought we'd see luxury glamping in the same sentence? Amazing. Great to see. Thank you. This was incredible. And,
thank you.
Appreciate the time.